a smile. Now the sunshine brings the light. Fill me out with a flame. I will let you in this game. Take me out when I'm down. 'Cause with you I'm safe and sound. 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 I'm safe and sound.
What is going on, everybody? We are live here breaking down this MLB 9-game slate. Let's go ahead and jump right into it as the bass drops right behind. So, we have no weather concerns, so we don't have to pull Kevin Ross' weather report. Let's go ahead and just jump right into it. We're going to look at the chalk. We're going to look at some nice pivots. We're going to look at some matchups. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the live stream. This will be relatively short, about 30 to 45 minutes. TJ's not able to make it on this live stream, unfortunately, because he was tied up at work. Let's go ahead and start off by looking at last night's optimal. I like to do this. One reason is because I want to show you guys, again, how crazy MLB is. Did you guys have Moran from the one-off here from Pittsburgh at first base? Did you have Brandon Lowe at second? Did you have Franco at third base? Did you have Bregman at shortstop? Guarantee you nobody had that lineup combination. MLB is by far the most volatile sport in all of DFS, okay? So, strategies going forward are, you have to stack teams, okay? You have to stack 5 stacks. You have to do one-offs. You have to be random. And you just have to run with the low-owned stacks. All right? You have to put them in GPPs. For cash games, you have to go with ownership. It's all about leveraging against the field. All right? So let's go ahead. And yes, I know Jay Hyper. He's in here, so he's making fun of me right now. He's trolling the chat. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this slate, what the low-end stacks are going to be, where the chalk is going to be. I have ownerships for this slate out for you guys. Let me go ahead and load that up right now. All right, so if we look at the implied totals on this slate here, and actually I don't even have the right slate pulled up for today. Let me go ahead and load that up. We were waiting for these implied totals to come out for from the earlier video, so they were finally out. The things that did change are San Francisco and the Padres here at 4.72 for the Padres and 4.28 for San Francisco. We have Oakland still at that 5.36, one of the highest on the slates. Minnesota actually got hammered on the over here, so Minnesota is going to be a popular stack here. And then, as we thought, the Mets and Boston. The Mets actually rounded out Boston for the highest over/under on the entire slate. All right. So if we look at that data, and not to mention we still have the Royals and Detroit still hanging around in the 5.5 range, this is going to be a blast because there's no standout teams, right? We even have the Dodgers, who usually are the top stack here, at least for popularity, 5.04. Houston, a 4.46. We have Milwaukee at a 5.85. All right, so we have a lot of potential teams that could end up in the optimal stack. We have a lot of teams flying under the radar, teams like Arizona, Texas. We have St. Louis. I mean, it's going to be a fun slate. All right, so if you are stacking, again, the Patreon cheat sheet is where it's at. We have the leverage stacks where it has all the ownerships, and then we combine that with the projections, and then it shows us where the ownership does not make sense, the ownership that will fly under the radar, and hence your leverage. All right? So, if we look at pricing, just straight up pricing, let me go ahead and sort by point per dollar value. We have a lot of Milwaukee. We have a lot of Mets. Angels, we have Trout. Trout will be fairly chalky because of that. All right. We also have a lot of, like I said, Milwaukee and the Royals. Okay, if we sort by ownership, the Royals will definitely pop out. And the reason for that is because they're relatively cheap. We look at 3,400, we look at 3,800. Price tags for these guys, and these guys could definitely go off, and especially since what they did yesterday, 14 people will look at that 14 over under, and they'll be very high on Kansas City. I'm not very high on them. I'm high on them for cash, okay? I don't expect history to repeat itself tonight. They are probably not going to put up 14 runs again. That's just a very outlier performance. All right, what's going on, Gene? What's going on, Anthony? And what's going on, Bankroll Theory? What's going on, man? So, I mean, just looking this over, I would go with the high ownership guys for cash, right? We're looking at Perez. We're looking at the Kansas City guys. Alonso's in there. A Trout, a couple Milwaukee guys. Like I said, there's no standout team. So you're going to have to pick and choose between some of these players. All right. Let's go ahead over the plate IQ. And we'll start looking at matchups. And I'll go right through all that. Oh, and we can go ahead and switch gears and talk about pitching real quick. For pitching, we have Sandoval at the very top because he has a very good matchup against Seattle. Sandoval could end up being bad chalk. If you guys are looking for GPP plays, you might want to fade Sandoval here. He is by far the highest owned guy. 42.4% is what he's projected at. There's not too many pitching options here. All right. Which one's the AD carry? Lindblom. Second on the list because of his matchup going against Pittsburgh. Milwaukee should beat Pittsburgh, and it should be very low scoring. 29.4% is what they have him at now. Ownership projections have moved a little bit in Lindblom's favor. Kelly, not too bad here, 26.7%. You can see that there's not too many options. Kelly, very expensive. Walker Buehler has a very bad matchup against Houston. So, I mean, if you're going for strikeouts, a good GBP option, carrying a 19.5 ownership, but definitely a lot of just weird options on the slate. No standout options whatsoever. There's no ace with a good matchup. We got these low-owned guys. Or we got these cheap guys here. 6,600 for Sandoval and Lindblom carrying the most ownership, which means that the very expensive bats will be they'll be more high-owned than usual. People like Trout, people like Yelich. All right, those will carry higher than normal ownerships. All right, you got to look at Bellinger. All right, some of these guys will carry higher than expected ownerships because we're trying to save salary here in the pitching position. So let's go over the plate IQ. Let's look position by position. As I said, Kansas City is going to be chalk, so let's go and take a look at them. Like Merrifield could be bad chalk. ISO, not that great. Could get on base, but shouldn't do too much damage. Solar's pretty good chalk, all right? Solar, yesterday, I believe, got a home run and a few RBIs, so definitely made into a good Kansas City stack. Mondesi, not too bad with his power. Weighted on base average is very low. And Perez, we don't have any data on him, but he did a very good job yesterday. O'Hearn might carry a little bit of ownership. 1 through 4, if you're looking for cash, these guys are going to be where it's at. They'll carry high ownership, and they're going to be very good ownership. All right. If we go over to Milwaukee, if we look at Milwaukee right now, we have Yelich, Braun. Like I said, Braun is actually going to fly under the radar. I like him for a GPP option. Yelich, not too bad. Obviously, bad matchup. It's going to be left versus left, but it's Yelich. Obviously, a great player. It's going to be fairly chalky just because he's Yelich, all right? And then if we go down the list here, another chalky option is going to be Trout. Let's take a look at him. He's in a prime spot. I will show you right now. 291 and a 415 weighted on base average against Sheffield, and Sheffield is very bad. If Rendon is back in the lineup tonight, which we expect him to be, this 2-3 punch is going to be very deadly. At least it should be according to recent stats from 2019. I like both of these guys for cash and GPP. I like Rendon more for GPP. He'll probably carry lower than expected ownership. All right, we've got to Boston. Boston also has a pretty high over-under. JD Martinez in a prime position, okay? Very, very good chalk. I like JD Martinez, a 482 ISO and a 544 weighted on-base average. Just green across the board for him. I really do like him. Bogart's also going to be decently chalky. I like him for cash. And if we switch over to the Mets, Pete Alonso got a home run yesterday, a 347 ISO and a 386 weighted on base average. JD Davis also isn't bad, but he's going to carry lower ownership. I like him for GPP. Of course, Hall is definitely not a very good pitcher. So getting the chalk out of the way, do we have any questions for chalk? All right, chalk's very straightforward with the individual players. Kansas City Royals will carry a higher than anticipated ownership, and if you stack them, the more the better. Yesterday, I thought they were bad chalk. They got 14 runs on the board. Tonight, they're actually in a pretty good spot. So they should put up not 14, but they should put up a decent amount of runs to push you over in the cash line if you guys are cash players and in very small GPPs. All right. Let's go ahead and talk GPPs. Do you guys have any questions in regard to GPPs? Go ahead and spam your questions in the chat. We'll switch over to pitcher versus hitter matchup. Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is going to be very low owned. I like Bell from this spot if you guys are looking for fillers. And Reynolds, obviously not that bad for GPPs. All right. We have Detroit on the flip side. I really am not a fan of Detroit. However, they do have a good matchup against Zimmer. I guess target lefties here. Goodrum is not in the bad spot, and same thing with Stewart. But I mean, these guys aren't very good according to last season's stats. They are projected at 5.2 runs, so you can start them. Sorry, I'll go ahead and pause the stream real quick. GPP means guaranteed price pools. The higher you score in tournaments, the better you are rewarded for a monetary value, okay? So if you place in the top 50% in cash games, you only double up, whereas if you place in the top 1% in GPPs, you might end up making more than 10, 15 times your money depending on the contest size. I personally am a huge fan of GPPs because I like to take advantage of the ownership in MLB. The ownership never makes sense. Absolutely never makes sense. It's sprawled out across the board, and you can really take advantage of the ownership in MLB, and I feel like that is the biggest edge just with any DFS sport, okay? Going down the line here, Chicago is not well, first of all, they're coming off a back-to-back here, so I like Chicago here in the GPP spot. 1 through 5 is deadly, and they have a good matchup. Cleveland also usually carries higher than anticipated ownership. I actually don't like them for GPPs. I do believe that they will be inflated with ownership. What's going on, Carlos? What's going on, man? Is Oakland going to be chalky in GPP? No, they are not. Oakland is one of those teams that's going to fly under the radar. They are not a popular team, and they're projected at a 5.65. So if we switch back here, I believe, no, 5.36, sorry. 5.36, which is a very decent run total. I like Oakland. I really do. Oakland is not bad whatsoever. So, again, 2 chalk teams from the Boston Mets. I really would avoid these guys if you're playing big GPPs. I mean, they're in really good spots. They're more of a chalk cash game type play. Again, if you're trying to take down big GPPs, don't 5-stack either one of these teams. St. Louis and Minnesota. St. Louis is always a low owned. Homer Bailey actually isn't a good matchup, and I think that St. Louis right now is a little inflated in ownership. I have to go back to view my leverage sheet, but I do believe that they're a little inflated, so I'm going to avoid St. Louis. Minnesota. Also, they are not inflated, and they're in a very bad matchup. I explained this on my video. I like Martinez in this matchup, but Minnesota is just a killer team as far as their bats go, right? They've been on fire at the beginning of the season. I don't know. This is another hit-or-miss kind of game. I am actually very interested in this matchup in general. I feel like this could make or break the slate. Minnesota right now, they are projected at 5.74 total runs. And that's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty good to get it done. They could definitely appear in the optimal if he gets off to a bad start here, Martinez. I really like all their players. I mean, their ISOs are all very good. They have a lot of power. Garver hitting in the 6th spot. He's just a killer, man. Weighted on base average all makes sense for me. All right, for GPPs. If we go down to Arizona, Arizona is always very, very sneaky. They are in a good spot as well. So they got off to a bad start this season. I think that the ownership will be very low owned for these guys, and I like that. I mean, the price tags have been going down on these guys, so hopefully that it doesn't drive up ownership too much. Arizona is in a good spot. I like them here against Gibson, against the lefties here. Marte. I like Peralta. Also, he actually moved down to the 6th spot. He was projected in the 2nd spot. So, what's up, Matt? Do you think Rendon has a one-off today making his debut? Yes, I like Rendon as a GPP option. I don't believe he'll be high owned because he simply has that Q tag next to him, that day-to-day tag. I believe they have him. So it's funny because people right now, they'll already be setting their lineups. They're not even considering Rendon because they don't know if he's going to play. A lot of people do that, and because of that, he'll be lower than projected for his initial ownership. So I like him for GPP. I like Trout. If they both get it going, I like the 2-3 punch from them. They're in the 2-3 spots. Yep. If we go to Texas, though, Texas in a very good spot as well. I like Texas across the board here. We have Gallo back in the lineup, 313, 376, a home run hitter, but a huge strikeout rate. That being said, Kelly could definitely be a good GPP option. So another make or break type of game. Arizona and Texas I'm very interested in. I feel like this is going to be good for DFS. It's just a great DFS night in general. I'm looking to leverage some of this ownership for sure. All right, Dodgers and Houston. I mean, this is just like the St. Louis-Minnesota matchup. This is going to make or break you. If you're starting Buehler, I mean, you're going against the best hitting team in all of MLB. High strikeout rate for Buehler. Not that high of a strikeout rate for Houston. Very good hitting team for Houston, but a very bad pitching matchup for them. So, I mean, it's going to be a great game to watch. I'm going to tune this one on for sure. I really do like this matchup just in terms of spectating, and I really do like Buehler for GPPs. I like Houston for GPPs. We'll see where this gets us. All right. Flipping on the other side, the Dodgers are more of a safer option because he struggles, Valdez does, against righties immensely. Betts is in a good position. Turner's in a good position. Taylor's in a good position. I mean, and then you look at these other two, Muncy and Bellinger. You can't look away from them either. They are superstars. So Bellinger, a 316 ISO and a 403 weighted on-base average last season. Obviously the best hitter last season. So going against a very shaky lineup, Valdez makes for a good GPP play. I like Buehler more. If you're looking for a GPP option, I like the Dodgers lineup a lot more for their hitting. All right. So if we look at the Angels, like I said, Trout and Rendon, they look great. We're not going to talk about them because they are going to be Trout is rather. Seattle, I mean, very good matchup for him. Sandoval is going to be very chalky for his price tag. Because of that, you can leverage that going Seattle. I do like them for a GPP option. I don't expect them to be I don't expect them to have a very high ceiling, but I do expect them, if they can take advantage of this matchup very early, to get some runs on the board, and definitely can end up in a good leverage spot. Maybe some 1 or 2 offs. Kyle Seager in a very good spot. I mean, a 300 ISO and a 394 weighted on base average. And going against lefties, Sandoval posts a 420 weighted on base average and a 333 ISO, which is a ton of power. Seager can come right in here, slam it out of the park. I really do like him. It's a hit or miss lineup here for Seattle. All right, and then we have Colorado and Oakland. Colorado, obviously very good hitting. Now, keep in mind their stats are skewed because they normally hit in Coors Field. Struggles very much against lefties here, and we have Dahl, Blackman, Murphy, all lefties here in the bulk of the lineup. This could be a scary, sneaky stack. I really do like Colorado here, even though they are hitting at Oakland. Oakland is not a good ballpark for hitters, but again, a lot of power here from the Rockies. Very bad matchup here. I do like Oakland on the flip side. This is the reason why they have so many high totals. I mean, look at this. The first 5 are completely green, and the last 4 are completely red. So this is definitely a hit or miss. GPP all over this. I guess this is why Oakland is so lower owned than we anticipate them to be. Very sneaky. Very sneaky. Last but not least, the Padres and Giants. I didn't touch base on them too much in the video. Davis is just, I mean, he's a great pitcher. So I'm really not intrigued too much in these San Francisco Giants. Against lefties is the only thing that he has going for him here. Dickerson, not that bad of a play. Crawford is not a good lefty hitter. And then the Padres on the flip side against my man Samardzija. Samardzija is very risky, very streaky. So this could be another sneaky stack here coming out of the Padres. All right. So I just ran through pretty much every single one of these matchups. I ran through the chalk lineups. Like I said, this wasn't going to be a very long stream. I've been on stream. I've been rambling on for about 30 minutes. First of all, do you guys have any questions? I've been trying to catch up to all the questions here on the stream. I can go back here. The lineups are getting refreshed as we speak. Going in terms of ownership, Alonso, Perez, Trout, Soler, Mondesi will be the highest owned hitters on the slate. JD Martinez closely followed. Like I said, JD Martinez should be good chalk. Boston should be good chalk. And yes, I'm coming to the very end of the stream, so if you guys are coming in here at the last second, I do apologize. I went over my favorite chalk plays. You guys can go back in the stream and view it. Is Sheffield too risky for GPP pitchers? He has a great strikeout percentage, I think. Yes, he's actually not a bad GPP pitcher. Of course, we saw what happens when you play a very bad pitcher yesterday in chalk. For cash games, James went out yesterday and got his 5 DK points across the board. It didn't impact me. I still got a takedown because I was able to take advantage of those Tampa Bay Rays. Again, it doesn't matter too much. Pitching doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things in terms of GPP. All right. What's going on, Dave? I'm glad you're here, man. Thoughts on Kyle Gibson? Gibson is not in a bad matchup. I have to go back and look at him. Gibson, where is he? Gibson, 23%. Yeah, so he's like borderline GPP cash. I don't believe he'll make it into a lot of cash lineups. So more of a GPP option. I do like him. Arizona's been struggling a lot. Again, one of those games is just going to make or break. I feel like the Texas-Arizona game and the Minnesota-St. Louis game, it's funny because both the pitchers are right here in the same price range. Definitely a make or break for GPPs. Definitely a make or break. All right. You haven't tried the winner take all yet in MLB. KC Boston for that. Kansas City is definitely going to be your chalk stack. And then you look at a couple one-offs. Trout's going to be in there. Martinez is going to be high owned, like I said. Let's go ahead back to the chalk hitters. Alonso's definitely going to be in there. And then, yeah, a lot of Kansas City Royals are going to dominate that lineup. What's going on, Steven? Mike Trout's in a very good matchup. Mike Trout's in the prime spot. I wouldn't be surprised if he got a homer or two tonight, for sure. After last night, will Nelson Cruz's ownership be high? I think you mean 2 nights ago, because 2 nights ago is when he dropped the 55 bomb. Yeah, Nelson Cruz had that kind of run last season. It was a very streaky season for him. And when I mean streaky, I mean like literally he went from not posting up good fantasy numbers at all to putting up historical fantasy numbers at the end of the season. So, I mean, he's one of those batters that just comes in and has a great part of his season. And right now, if he's on fire, I don't see why he couldn't be. I don't think his ownership's going to be very high, though. I think that people don't overreact too much on the hitters as much as they do the pitchers. And as a team, I think the team for Minnesota is going to be slightly inflated, but not too much. I mean, we're looking across the board here at Kansas City. Kansas City as a team put up 14 runs, so you best believe that there's going to be a lot of did I say Chiefs? A lot of Royals tonight. Which lower-owned stacks for GPPs? I have those posted to my Patreon, my exact favorite ones. I'll be updating as the lineups come out. All right. We have going with a Minnesota, Arizona, and Oakland stack for GPP. Definitely like that. Pick your contest wisely because Minnesota will be slightly inflated. Arizona is going to be, I believe I looked at them and they're around 5 to 10%, so that's slightly inflated. And then Oakland's around that same thing. So I wouldn't play those in enormous GPPs because those ownerships aren't bottom of the barrel. We're looking at like Tampa Bay yesterday was all their players were below 3-4%, which is crazy to get that. I believe Renfroe had like 1.2% ownership and he got 35 DK points, which is unreal, which is crazy. All right, go ahead and feel free to ask any questions in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and get off here pretty soon, guys. Build my own lineups. I have to update the Patreon for my favorite leverage stacks. Again, if you guys haven't already, please subscribe. And also, if you're looking for that additional edge, my favorite leverage stacks, $20 a month gets you in a DFS community. It gets you leverage stacks. It gets you projections. It gets you pretty much everything you need to know, not only for MLB, but for NBA coming up, League of Legends, some CSGO. We're waiting for the big CSGO slates to come back here. And I think pitching is just so frustrating tonight. Yesterday it was crazy, but tonight, I mean, it's insane. Sandoval and Lindblom have the highest percentage ownership. Are you kidding me? And they're 6,600 and 5,100. What's going on, Jordan? Yeah, and it's funny because I'm going to get off here pretty soon. I'm going to give it about a couple minutes, guys, and then I'll go ahead and get off. I'll update the Patreon. I'll update my own lineups. I have a couple guys talking trash. I need to play them in some head-to-head here. A couple people talking trash in the YouTube comment section today. You guys can go back and look at the trash talk. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I get hate. I didn't think I put that perception out there. Nonetheless, all love here. And we'll go ahead and see if the run total is updated at all. I don't know if the lines have been moving. Boston, yeah, the Mets are still up here at 5.92, 5.5. All right. Going to go ahead and get off, and I don't see any more questions. Thanks for tuning in, guys. St. Louis stack, not bad. That's my last question I'll answer. St. Louis is another hit or miss, okay? St. Louis and Minnesota, that game in general is an extreme GPP game. Minnesota's run total keeps going up. 5.74 is what I have it at now, so should be a little bit inflated. St. Louis always flies under the radar. I like them. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I really appreciate all the support, guys. Hopefully you have a great night. We'll see you back in the Discord, and let's cash.
Spirit of things, we lose our sight when we put our trust in things of this material world, where things that fade away.